Yo, what's up, guys? Some of you have been asking me about my thoughts on Mill for set 2 because apparently I've become the Mill guy. I do have a wonderful relationship with that deck, and I think the best way to express how I feel about the situation is by watching a Cyanide and Happiness short together.
Honey, it's not what it looks like. Seriously, walk that way. Crazy, huh?
Wow, that's nuts.
Man, these guys are hilarious, and there's actually another twist in the short if you guys want to go check out the full 40-second clip, which I'll link below. But I've been definitely testing a lot of Mill, and I think I got some pretty nice beefy upgrades for set 2, and I'll be continuing to play that deck going forward. Here's the list I've been playing and tweaking, and my brief comments on some new card additions before we jump into some game replays from the lab. If you haven't seen my previous How to Play Steel Mill video, I'll provide a link for that as well, as it covers the core concepts of the deck and is still very relevant. Here we have Benja. During this recording he was bugged and broken on Pixelborn as he didn't destroy items, but I think it's been fixed now. In this video I'm playing Item Breaker Beast in his place. A big problem with Lantern decks is that the ramp gives them an ink advantage after a whole new world, and Benja might be the answer that we've been looking for to stopping that at 3-drop. And also being in the 3-drop slot, he can sing out Mother Knows Best. We've kicked out Fat Mickey and Cheshire Cats to free up some space. Next we got 4-drop Donald Duck. What an absolute monster addition to a badly needed 4-drop slot for our deck. 2 lore is very good, so goodbye Green Hans. 5 toughness is fantastic. His draw card ability doesn't kick in until your next turn, which means your opponent can't take advantage of it first. And as a wheel deck, we really don't care if our opponents draw cards. In fact, we kind of want them to. Donald just gets us to our whole new world at a faster pace, and he's a perfect addition to this deck. Then we got Beast Tragic Hero, 5-drop singer. I'm kind of on the fence about him for now. He has shift, but doesn't really shift onto anything quickly. We really needed a 3-drop beast or something to make him god tier. Then we have the Shift Hercules package. We got rid of Prince Eric's for this. We have a good shift target for a turn 4 singer with resist in our deck, and resist is a pretty strong mechanic. So now our deck has 2 turn 4 shift packages in both Tinkerbell and Hercules, each with several different base characters to shift onto. Hercules does die to Criminal Mind though, and don't sleep on the fact that a 3-drop Bodyguard Hercules can protect your 5-drop singers from challengers like Maui after you sing a whole new world. And then we have Bad Guy Pete, who is an absolute god. Replaces our previous warded singer Kuzco, except that he's inkable. He gets +2 power each time you cast an action, which this deck has no shortage of, and you only need 2 actions in a turn to get to +4 lore. I mean, if you really wanted to, you could just recycle Do It Agains on themselves to power this guy up. Pete is actually a really good guy. We also have Cinderella package, and also we added some Ransacks in. Cinderella is shiftable on turn 5, and she's also probably one of the strongest cards of the set. We didn't play Steel 1-drop Simba before because he was trash at 1-2, but in this deck, Baby Cinderella can shift, has a power of 2, and we want to utilize her to smooth out our clunky uninkable draws. We're also running a couple Ransack for this, and due to these cards, plus Donald Duck and maybe Tragic Hero Beast, we've upped our deck size to around 70 cards. Ransack was actually pretty neat in testing since you can actually grab it back on turn 3 with a usually dead early game Do It Again to dig more desperately or just for ink. We've cut back a bit on the smash. As a side note, I have tested the Jafar package and I kind of liked it, but with the Donald Duck and Green Tinkerbells, the 4-drop slot felt a bit oversaturated, and the 2-drop slot is not very good because 2-drop Jafar can't sing Mother Knows Best. I also tested Bibbidi Bobbidi Boo and dropped it because it was too hard to say when making content. But seriously though, the card has some neat interactions with Genie, Tremaine, Tinkerbells, but its uninkability is killer, and it just barely doesn't do enough for the deck, so I ended up cutting it completely, though I could go back to it. Very fun card though. For untested potential cards of the deck, I think Relentless Beast would be really fun to test, as he could sing a lot of stuff each turn. Prince John might be funny to try out since he's a awarded 3-ink singer and would draw a crap load of cards off your whole new world, but I think the uninkability is really bad. Pick a Fight I will be playing one of in the future, as it's really good for dealing with blue Cogsworth, and if you run Green Beast, it could get pretty wild. I'd only play one copy of it though, because it is uninkable, and you can always grab this action back from your discard pile. I might also be swapping my smashes out for Strength of a Raging Fire, just because Raging Fire is a song and has good interaction with Big Cindy's challenge ability. I've not yet tested out the Cheshire Cat Shift package, which I might try in place of Hercules, but feel free to try them out on your own time and get back to me on how you guys feel about the kitty package. And finally, Gantu is an absolute sleeper powerhouse. And the reason I say this is because I finally managed to get my hands on some set 1 packs from the restock, and I pulled a Gantu, so I'm actually super salty about why this card is even a legendary. Yeah, leave a like and comment if you guys are desperate for me doing a trash Gantu giveaway. Alright, let's just jump into the games now. We got a whopping 4 games in this video, so I'll try and cut the video parts even more, since I know all you guys watching are already mill experts by now and know how the deck operates. Alright, first game, we toss out all our uninkables, of course. Pretty solid starting hand. We ink Hook and pass. Hook honestly ends up being ink 95% of the time on turn 1, and 5% of the time he's an emergency response to Lilo or something like that. My opponent inks Hey Hey and plays Queen, so we're against yellow-purple. On turn 2, we can play Cinderella to dig a card deeper for a whole new world and dump our uninkable Tremaine here. We pick up 3-drop Hercules, which can be shifted turn 4, but we probably want to play our Donald Duck if we haven't picked up a whole new world by then. Our opponent lanterns and swings in. Here we're pretty happy to trade Cindy for Queen, as she's already done her part to dig, and I play Hercules. I think playing Tinkerbell would have also just been fine. My opponent Maleficence and plays a Reflection. Alright, time to get the Reflection meme out again. I think I only included this game so I could keep using this Yu-Gi-Oh clip.
He's good. He knows every aspect of this game. But my grandpa put all his gaming knowledge, his whole heart, into assembling this deck. I have to believe that it holds some secret strategy. This card is useless.
We play out our Donald Duck to keep digging for wheels, and we do also have an Emo Beast in our hand if we need to dig further. Our opponent plays Lilo Pinocchio and unfortunately walks right into a Swords that I draw. I just play the Swords and get the massive board and tempo advantage and start questing. We're gonna just try and win this game without milling him, as we should be able to snowball our board and tempo advantage from this point. He plays Lilo, Queen, and Friends and passes back to us. He didn't ink last turn, so I decided to play my Item Crusher Beast on my turn to put him further back on ink, and I quest in. I'm way ahead in the lore race. He plays a Bodyguard Goofy and quests in. I get another Swords and Mother Knows Best, and this game is over at this point. He can't out-tempo these board control cards, and I'll hit 20 lore far before he has a chance to race. I could have Swords tier, but I decide to bounce his Bodyguard Goofy and clear his board with my characters, and I draw a Emo Boy Beast next to Angry Beast to pull further ahead. If he wastes his next turn playing Goofy again, his chance of winning basically goes to 0. He does play Goofy, and I draw 3 cards on my turn. I play out Cinderella, and the game just ends soon after. One thing I would like to note from this game is that against yellow, Cinderella and Hercules might go down in value, since a lot of yellow decks will be running World's Greatest Criminal Mind. So against yellow, maybe consider inking those and playing your other characters like Tinkerbells or Pete's instead as your primary singers. Alright, moving on to game 2. We go first with a near perfect hand of 6 Inkables and Wheel. We just need a smaller Tinkerbell or Hercules to shift onto for a turn 4 Wheel, and Cindy will help us dig deeper for that. Our opponent inks and plays Felicia. We unluckily draw a second Whole New World, but our Cindy will help us by getting rid of our extra one, although that might reveal to our opponent what sort of deck we're playing. Our opponent plays Exert Pinocchio and gets rid of my Cindy with his Felicia. So we're against some red-purple brew this game. Unfortunately, we don't pick up a turn 3 play, and it's definitely worth considering using Mother Knows Best on Pinocchio for tempo, since he'll probably be playing his own self-bounce cards and will need his Pinocchio to bounce. But he plays an Arthur. On my turn, we pick up another Mother Knows Best, and this time it is time to stall a bit before our turn 5, and we bounce our Arthur for tempo. He just plays his Arthur again on his turn, and then on our turn we play a Beast and pass. On his turn, he quests and returns Pinocchio with Arthur. Then he plays Madame Mim to return Arthur, and then he plays Arthur. I think Green Steel Mill actually has a good matchup against purple bounce decks with all the stuff they return to their own hands, because all the card advantage that they generate by bouncing eventually gets negated by a Whole New World. I pick up a Genie, and I can get a tempo advantage to bounce a character and sing Whole New World. I get rid of his Arthur and sing away both our hands. He does draw into Maui, and he Maui's my Beast and passes. On my turn, I play a Hercules and Captain Hook. Tink Hook could be an alternative, but I wanted to keep my Tink in case he wanted to use Be Prepared on his turn. He plays Rabbit Merlin, which is quite bad against our deck since we don't care about our opponent's drawing cards. Then he sings out a Teeth and Ambitions to kill our Genie, and that's the first time I've seen this card played against me, so that's pretty neat. Finally, he plays a Fox Mim to return his Maui back to his hand. The way he played his turn, I don't think he has a Be Prepared, so I decide to play a Tinkerbell and develop further instead of playing Do It Again and playing Wheel. Tinkerbell also removes one character from his board. I go ahead and ink my Duck, and I keep my 6-drop Hercules in case he draws into a Be Prepared. And I play 2-drop Hercules on board as I get ready to play Do It Again and cast Whole New World next turn. It seems that my opponent did draw the Be Prepared, but he's lost his entire turn, so I still have the tempo advantage. I pick up a Pete and I play him, and I ink Tinkerbell and cast Do It Again, preparing for next turn's Whole New World. I want to mention that in hindsight, I think the better play is Pete and Tinkerbell, and hold off on the Do It Again in case he plays Red Lady Tremaine to protect my Pete. He plays a Maleficent Dragon, which can't kill my Pete, because Pete is a god. I pick up an amazing Mother Knows Best, so I can Hercules, return his dragon, and then sing out Whole New World. On his turn, he plays Arthur and Merlin Rabbit, and he refuses to draw off his Merlin, which is pretty hilarious, and he knows I'm trying to mill him. He also plays a Broom to try and get back some cards back into his deck. On my turn, I play Tinkerbell to give myself the setup to draw into a Swords after I wheel, and then I do it again and wheel our hands away. I do draw into a Swords, which is not surprising since I still have 4 live ones in my deck, and I sing it out to clear his board. I was debating holding onto this Hercules, but since I do have a whole new world in my hand, I really don't care if he uses Be Prepared, so I go ahead and play him. He plays a Dragon, killing my Tinkerbell, and plays a Broom, shuffling back a Broom. I decide that I want another Warded Pete on my board before I wheel again, so I play him and then sing away both our hands again. On this next wheel, I pick up Lady Tremaine, who I play just to get the wheel back, and I wheel once again. My opponent now has 6 cards left in his deck, and I have a Lady Tremaine. He clears the board with Be Prepared, and then brooms back another card into his deck, but with 7 cards in the deck, it's not going to do anything to save him from getting milled. So on my turn, I play Lady Tremaine and play Wheel, and he has 0 cards left in his deck, and I still have 5. I cast Ransack for dramatic effect, and then I pass my turn, forcing him to draw, which forces him to lose the game. Alright, let's move on to game 3. In this game, we're on the draw, and find 7 inkable cards in our opener, and our curve looks pretty much perfect. We got a full keeper on our opener, so we don't mulligan anything and just go with this. My opponent plays Cinderella, and if you guys weren't aware of this, Cinderella turn 1 has the ability to sing Storm Rage On, which is an absolutely busted combo in set 2. So I'm actually going to try and play around this and not give him value by playing turn 1 Hook, even though with this hand setup, you could definitely be playing out your Captain Hooks here. My opponent plays Simba and Quests. On my turn, again, I really don't want to give him Storm Rage On value, but I'm going to have to play my Cinderella just because I don't have a good turn 3 plan yet, so I want to dig 1 card deeper for a turn 3 drop. I ink my Hook, I play Cinderella, and I draw into Cinderella, which I could definitely use as a turn 3 play, so at least I got that going for me. My opponent does have Storm Rage On and gets rid of my Cinderella, drawing a card. He Ariels and finds a Swords. On my turn, I decide to ink Cinderella because he had just drawn a sword, but I think this is wrong. I should have just gone and played her out anyway since my hand is all just pure ink and I have no issues getting to 5 or 6 ink with this hand. I think he could waste his swords on my lone Cinderella if he's afraid of a future shift Cinderella, so this was a bad ink and pass by me on this turn. I also got distracted because I was reading Discord during my opponent's turn. But anyways, he ended up singing Whole New World while I was reading some Pixelborn bug report topics. After casting Whole New World, he plays Ariel, Queen, and passes. Now, this board state may look pretty bad for me, especially since I messed up and I was supposed to have a Cinderella on board here at least. But where there's a Swords, there's always a way. And I do have a Swords. I play Hercules and pass. My opponent quests and passes without playing anything on his turn 5. This makes me think that his entire hand is just something like swords or some stitches and 1 or 2 toughness guys if he doesn't want to play into my own swords. On my turn, I bash into a Simba with Hercules and I cast swords. This will set me up for my turn 6 Tinkerbell to finish off his 2 Ariels. He plays his own Tinkerbell, killing my Hercules, and then he quests. On my turn, I play Tinkerbell, and now I feel pretty decent about my position. I'll start being able to drop my big guys, and I have Mother Knows Best and Whole New World still in my hand for removal. He plays a Rockstar Stitch on his turn. On my turn, I develop my board further with another Tinkerbell, and Sing bounce away his Stitch to start building up a tempo lead. I can Lady Tremaine next turn to get my Mother Knows Best again and bounce Wheel, so I really like my position now. My opponent plays Stitch again, and on my turn I follow through with my plan of bounce and wheel. I now have a huge board lead, and the game should be under my control as long as I get a decent wheel off. I wheel into a Ransack, which is the only thing I can cast, but I'm not actually sure why I even bothered to do it since I have a wheel in my hand. Probably pointless. Or maybe I was just trying to draw a 3rd sword or something for some insane board wiping. On his turn, he plays a Baby and Surfer Stitch and passes. Now, I can do a full clear of his board with Genie and double swords and wheel everything away, so I go ahead and do that. If this deck ever sticks 2 or more Whole New World Singers on board and gets past 6 or 7 ink, this deck is just an absolute monster. I play Whole New World and pass, and he decides to play Whole New World on his own turn. Maybe to spy on some more cards in my deck before conceding. But honestly, if he wants my deck list, he's more than free to just subscribe to my channel and watch my content. Anyways, he does concede, so let's move on to our final game, Game 4. You guys have seen the power of Mill against Yellow-Purple, Red-Purple, and Yellow-Steel, and have surely mastered these matchups from just watching this video. So now it's time to face off against the strongest color, Green-Steel, but not Mill. Okay, we go first this game, and we start with an okay non-wheel hand. I ink one of my extra Donald Ducks, and my opponent on his turn inks a Baby Tinkerbell. I draw my own Baby Tinkerbell, so I ink my 4-drop Tink and cast Ransack to dig, and probably want to ditch this Do It Again. And I also ditch a Big Cindy as well. My opponent plays Jafar on this turn. I get my Tinkerbell out, and after I play Donald, hopefully we can start drawing into our wheel. My opponent inks a Green Beast, so we're playing against the mirror colors, and he drops a Prince in bodyguard mode. Originally I wanted to play my Donald Duck on turn 4, but since I can clear his board with Shift Tink, I go ahead and do that first. My opponent inks his own Green Donald, which makes me kind of sad. He might have actually already identified our deck as Mill, so he doesn't actually want to draw extra cards or allow me to dig deeper. So I think inking his Donald Duck is pretty smart. He plays a Prince in Bodyguard, which is extremely suspicious. I have to put him on a smash in hand, so I probably will just play around it and not kill the Prince with my Tinkerbell. I keep drawing uninkables, and I play my Duck. Hopefully we can draw ink from double drawing off him. My opponent plays his own Duck, but it's Daisy Duck. And coincidentally, her discard ability is negated by my Donald somewhat. What a perfect husband-wife combo. I draw a Beast and Cinderella, and I ink Cinderella so I can get another 5-drop onto the board. I pass, and I'm happy just sitting here waiting until I can draw my whole new world. My opponent sings Storm to draw a card and plays Tinkerbell, putting damage on all my characters. He quests with Daisy Duck, and I discard one of my Lady Tremaines. I'm gonna have to combat trade my cards in soon, as they're all very vulnerable to swords and Tinkerbell. I did do somewhat of a spicy play on my turn, as I want to save my Tinkerbell. So I kill his Prince with my Beast, and I damage his Daisy with my Donald. This is domestic violence, and I don't condone this on my channel, despite what you're seeing on screen. I want to sing bounce back my Tinkerbell, and I want to play her out again to remove her damage and get rid of the Daisy Duck. My opponent does have the smash that we predicted before, and uses it on my Tinkerbell to kill her and my Donald. I'll just end up trading in my Beast in for his Tinkerbell. He then plays another Daisy Duck. I draw my Emo Boy Beast, and I want to put him out to try and negate his Daisy Duck. At this point, we're even on board, but my deck should have advantage mid to late game if I can get my whole new world engines running. My opponent genies back my Beast to my hand and makes me discard a Lady Tremaine, which is super annoying for tempo. On my turn, I ink a Hercules and play Beast again and bounce his Daisy Duck to stall a bit till I draw some answers. He quests, and then he plays out a Daisy and Flynn Rider. I draw a Swords and Hercules, and I play Swords, and decide I'll put a Hercules on board instead of inking for now. Now his Daisy Duck gets no hand value from me, as I have no hand, and I can take her out with my Hercules. I didn't mean take her out like that. My opponent plays Green Beast, and then quests in with Genie. I get a pretty sick double draw with Tinkerbell and Swords. I play Swords and hold Tinkerbell, as I don't want to expose an exerted Singing Beast to his Green Beast since he keeps drawing me cards. On my opponent's turn, he genies my Beast and passes. I play my Beast again on my turn, and I play out a Hercules as well. On his turn, he plays Prince John and Jafar and quests in with Beast and Genie. He realizes at this point that my extra card advantage with Beast will win me the long game, so he needs to start committing to all-in questing. I finally draw a whole new world off my double draws. I cast Tinkerbell and decide to sing Whole New World. I can wheel into a smash or Mother Knows Best or do it again, so it's good that I'll have 3 ink open after this wheel. I trade my Hercules into his beast, and I play Baby Tinkerbell. On my opponent's turn, he plays Lucifer, and to be honest, I could just discard 2 cards and try to get him to draw 2 cards off his John since I have a whole new world. But Ransack is so useless to me that I just pitch that instead and only discard 1 to Lucifer. So I guess this random Lucifer Ransack thing might be another reason that I might keep Ransack in the deck. My opponent sings a sword, cannons my Hercules, and kills my beast. He quests in with John, exposing himself to get Tinkerbell traded, but this leaves me at an interesting decision of whether to Tinkerbell attack or use her to sing Whole New World. I decide Tinkerbell attacking is the more conservative play, although I have a ton of outs to sing Whole New World. I could always wheel into a Swords and do it again, or another Tinkerbell that I can shift onto, so I think wheeling would have also been okay. I play Cinderella onto the board, and I play Baby Tinkerbell and pass. He smashes my Tinkerbell, kills my weak Tinkerbell with cannon, hypnotizes and draws a card, and I'm fine with his turn sequence. He goes ahead and quests to 19, and even though this looks extremely bad for me, I've won so many games with this deck from a 19-0 deficit that I'm actually not that worried at all. This deck has explosive power at 10 plus ink and a ton of answers to everything. And with Cinderella in the deck, it can also get rid of readied characters, so this game is far from over. I pick up Tinkerbell and Swords, and I play both of them to wipe his board. I have 2 singers on the board, a genie in my hand and a sword in my hand, and a baby Tink to dig further. I think I've actually stabilized my position in this game despite my opponent being at 19 lower. My opponent must have not really drawn anything good as he plays Lucifer and Storm on his turn. On my turn, I dig 1 card deeper as my hand is kind of weak from his Lucifer, and I find a Lady Tremaine, so I can wheel again. I go ahead and play her to get back my Whole New World. I genie his Lucifer back, and I wheel away our hands. I have an absolutely crushing board position at this point, and I don't even care that he's at 19 lower. I quest in for 3 with my Cinderella. This deck, with the addition of Cinderella and Pete, can come back and race very quickly. My opponent plays out 2 Daisy Ducks and passes. I go ahead and smash one and genie the other, gaining an even stronger board position for myself. I'm gonna quest my way to victory this game and not mill him. As I mentioned before, with Cinderella and P, this deck's core cards have actually gotten a lot beefier and stronger, and it can win off questing off lore a lot more consistently than it could in set 1. I also had a Mother Knows Best in my hand for more tricks by bouncing Lady Tremaine and picking up a sword or a wheel if I have to. My opponent can't deal with my massive board position despite having come so close at 19 lower, and he ends up conceding the game. So yeah, Mill is back for set 2, and I think it's stronger than before. Even set 1, I think a lot of players were sleeping on Mill decks and didn't take it quite seriously. But I personally almost climbed to Grandmaster on my second account playing Mill, and I think it'll be a force to be reckoned with in set 2 if people don't give it enough respect. So go ahead and try this deck out. Have fun with the mill deck, and as always, thanks for watching.